Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. It's Kim here, and today is our Techniques Tuesday, and I was supposed to come back and do a follow-up, long story, but I ended up, I finished the pieces from last week, and they just sat here, and I figured, well, I'll show them to you today. This isn't the cleanest piece of felt. I've been playing on this thing for a while now. So these are the finished pieces. Now I'm going to bring them up closer for you, but you can also zoom in, I'm sure. So this was the, or is, not was, is the sort of, futuristic, we built it as I went along. It ended up taking the whole video pretty much to work on this thing. So the camera is loose on here, like it dangles. And this is the blue dangle that came with the silver back, this big silver disc. And then I had used the, get my finger out of the way, I'm going to use this instead. Can you see that? Yeah. I had made the little spirals to dangle from, and at first I was going to put them behind so you wouldn't see them and just see the loop that dangles them. But I thought it just kind of added into this design, the whole package here. And so then I ended up adding a couple more loops up here for decoration. These ones I just made the spirals without the little loopy thing on it and then glued them down. And if you see here, there's a little blue rhinestone. Somewhere in my collection, I have some blue rhinestones, I'm sure. And I'm going to glue them down on top of all of these spirals to give it a little bit more sparkle. And I may add a few more things along the sides of this silver so it's not so stark looking. But all in all, I think it turned out pretty good. This is that beaded earring that conveniently had the same luster beads, seed beads that were in the bits and pieces from what I took apart from this thing. And so I used that to incorporate throughout so that there's, it was a little bit more cohesive, I guess, so that everything blends together. This is still a bit of a big, makes me think of like a cyclops or this big eye. But I will probably tone it down with a little bit more blue, or maybe not so much tone it down, but bring out more blue color into here. There is only that one little bit of gold. There's a little bit of gold in the beads here. So maybe something with gold and blue to tone down this big silver cyclops. And yeah, and this has a little glass stone in it too, so I could also play on the kind of an iridescent stone to go with it. But there's navy blue, so probably the best thing would be to add some navy blue in. But I will continue to play on this. It's going to get hung up now as it is until I'm actually ready to use it, because I put a lot of time and effort into this, and it's just not going to get used right away. It's not a standard type of piece that I use. So I'd almost have to come up with a futuristic boho journal. There's a project for me. So yeah, so that was that one. And then these were the little ones that we made with the broken the bracelet pieces that I took apart. And again, I used up some of those same beads. And I'm just bringing them closer so that I can hold it and explain things as I go. There's a little bit of shadow here today. So use up the rest of those beads. Yeah, that's the rest of the beads, those multifacet Swarovski crystals. And the rest of the luster beads. Now, if you remember, we had one, well, we had several actually, but I just showed you with one. We had one of these where the stone was missing. And so I just put a little bit of E6000 glue in the center, gathered up a bunch of those beads and squished them into the glue. And then once it was dry, I just put a coat of clear nail polish over top of it. And so it gives it a very fun look to it, this one here. So, and then, just adding the dangle on the bottom with the butterfly, and that one is done and ready to go. So this one here, I had the daisy flower and just built on it based on what I had, and that was complementary to this blue color. And then this one, Again, same thing, except I just added the beads on either end because I was running out of little trinkets to put on the bottom. And then this one here, it was very convenient. This was where the clasp was. So this was the clasp to the bracelet, which could easily be attached to something. So I've left it on. I thought, you know, if I had a jump ring that I wanted to attach it to, or a key ring, or something, that I would add this on as a component to whatever, you know, I decide to add it onto. So these are again done, and now this is colors that I would use. It's kind of this blues with a little bit of a hint of purple with the multifaceted beads here. So they are colors I will definitely use in some of my projects, and they're nice little pieces for accent pieces on, you know, on the side of tabs or off the bottom of the, you know, when you stitch in your journal and you have the stitch threads, I like to add trinkets to the bottom of those and have them hanging out of the bottom of the journal. So these would be perfect pieces to use for that as well, because they have the little loop at the top that you can either attach a jump ring or a bulb pin, or attach it right to the threads that come from your sewing in your signature. So I was quite happy with those, and you know, the results of all of this, of course, are all going on the pile. They won't get, nothing will get used until I show you everything, until we finish that whole container. So this one was a bit of a cop-out, but it worked out really nicely because Nikki had given me all of these fancy paper clips, and this thing was gold with green, and I had nothing else to go with it really. So this was a perfect way to finish it. And now this can just be attached on the side of a journal, so it would probably sit more like this, where it, oh, actually I'll show you. You know, you have it on the side of a page. These things are always so tough to open up at first, but you have it dangling from the side of a page like that. So that's quite cute. It's away from the journal, so it's not too, you know, you don't have to worry too much about damaging the journal or trying to write on it. However, this is quite heavy, so you would want to put it onto a page like something like cardstock, or, you know, something a little bit more durable that can handle this extra weight, because that's going to pull on a page. So I wouldn't use this on like just regular 20-pound stock. This is folded over, so it does have a little bit of weight, but the paper clip is also quite tight on here. So I would prefer to use this on a cardstock, sort of, you know, the inside cover of a journal signature, not the journal page so much, but on a, you know, we always tend to put a heavier, or at least I do, a heavier outside page on each of my signatures. It could also hang from the bottom quite nicely. Let's just see if I can get it on here. Like I said, these paper clips are always very, very tight at first to get on, but at least they stay on. So you could have it hanging from the bottom of a page as well, and that would look nicely. I guess I could have just turned the page around. Yeah, okay, so it's an afterthought. So yeah, so this was nice, and it just shows you how easy it is to decorate, you know, a paper clip. However, this one, fortunately, is very, very tight. I don't know if you remember the struggle I had to get this on there. But sometimes you have to be concerned that, you know, it might come off of the spiral that's there if it's not closed off. So that is just something to consider when you're putting these together. The other one was also an easy fix, because this was some type of a little extension bead here. This top part, and it very conveniently had one little tiny purple bead in there, and this was the only thing that was purple that had a little bit of blue. So, you know, this is done. This is what I would consider a dangle as well, and just ready to go inside of a journal, or however you want to use to decorate. But easy peasy to do those. This one was a little bit more fun. This was 3 different components here, actually 4. So I had this one earring. Actually, I could probably move that over like that so you can see it better. I had this one green earring that I thought, what am I going to do with this thing? But you know, it always amazes me when you start playing and moving things around, how you can come up with something. So I had this earring here, this bottom part, was just an earring just like that. It had this sort of a dark olive green colored bead with this little dangle at the bottom. And then this piece with this big chunky turquoise bead was attached to this. This was just a separate bead that was in the bag. Go figure. Anyway, so I attached that bead onto there with I used a head pin first to put the bead on and attached it to there, split these in half, and then added the earring on that one. And so now I have 3 dangles on this brass piece. Easy peasy. It's just a matter of playing around and seeing how you can take things apart and add things together, and it worked. And I grouped everything by color last week in the greens and the blues, thinking that I would repurpose them all together like that. So that helps to make things come together a little bit better. When you can see just individual components and how they might interact with each other. So yeah, this is a fun piece. I will definitely use this in a boho journal. I love this. And there's also the possibility to add more on here on either side. This is kind of a fun piece. It's like brass noodles, if I could call it that. And so even though they're quite tight, these noodles are quite tight on here, you can pry them away a little bit with your pliers to get a jump ring in there. So I could add quite a few pieces on here if I wanted to make it quite full. But I really like it simple the way it is, and it's good to go. So I will put that on my jewelry stand that I have. Thank you for some of you who have commented that you've gone out and bought jewelry stands. I got a couple of messages from people in the last couple of weeks, and I keep forgetting to say that people have said, oh, I found a stand so I can make my jewelry and have it on display in my room. And I think that's so awesome. And coming up in some of my thrifty videos, I will show you some other items that you can look for to use for dangling your jewelry and having it on display. So that was those pieces. Did you notice I brought a piece of white paper? I was prepared this time. So that's those pieces. They're going to get hung up, and maybe towards the end of the video, I will show you what they look like on the stand. So the next thing is I went back into the bucket and dug out all of these pieces that I had sort of baggied them all together with the brown beads, because there was brass and, kind of an antique gold here. And I figured, this is what I was going to play with today. And just to recap again, there's still some black stuff left in this little bag, because I got tired of working with the black. These are the paper clips from Nikki, so I'm still going to try to use them a little bit. And we're really getting down to the nitty gritty here of bits and pieces. I have a little bit of red stuff going on here, and just some odds and ends. Like I think I'd shown you the blacks pieces. I have these fairies here. They could come out in this stuff yet. I'm not sure. And these 2 green pieces. So those will be something I play with in the upcoming weeks, and hopefully get to the bottom of this bucket. But yeah, it's surprising. I'm still stuck on these ones. I haven't quite figured out yet, but I think I might have a different idea that I want to play with, and we'll see if that works. But yeah, they're kind of an odd piece. These definitely come off of a bracelet of some kind, where they were all hooked together. But there's such a curve in them that I don't know that I really want to. I don't think I can flatten them very much without breaking them, but we'll see. I will play with them a little bit more later on. So yeah, we're getting down to the bits and pieces here in this bucket. The only other thing, this is all the jewelry parts that I've taken off, and they will get used for one thing or another eventually. So this is the brown. Now, I am not going to go and sit here and make all these. I kind of have a plan, you know, just to show you what I'm going to do or what I think I'm going to do, because it's kind of repetitious to what we've been doing all along for the little connecting pieces. There are a few things that I will show you that I discovered in putting this together. So, yeah, I'm not going to show you everything, or I'm just going to show you what I'm going to probably do with them, and then I will do it off camera, because, you know, for you to sit there and watch me open and close jump rings and connect things, it's, you know, it's boring. And based on the amount of views I had on my last video and how much of the actual video you watched, and there was a question in there and only 2 people answered it, so that doesn't tell me good ratings. You know, I think a lot of you skipped through a lot of it and moved on, which is fine. You know, I don't expect you to watch every video and watch through everything, but it just made me realize that there's a lot of stuff I can do off camera and then just come back and show you the finished results, which is what I'm going to do this time. So I had 2 more of those spaghetti noodle type brass pieces in the pile. I had this earring that I said it looked like Africa to me because of the shape of the earring. I hope you can see that without me. And then it had an elephant and then these little beads, and, you know, it's a post back earring. And so I have that. I have this kind of Asian style of piece. It's got a black bead in the center with some little flecks of brown in it. And it's kind of an antique, you know, coloring to it. I had some chain, but that I had brought to the table right from the get-go, right from the start, but I had stuck it in this bag to remember to use it. I had a bunch of these. Now these were from a bead or a bib necklace. Now some of them were connected like that, and then there was this one, and I still have a few more pieces in the other bag because I thought I would also play around with the black and use these with the black as well. So, but when I was looking at this piece, so there's this one, and there's a bunch here. But when I was looking at this piece, it didn't matter how I looked at it. I saw a dog. 2 eyes and a nose. There's his ears. I tried to turn it this way, but I realized that the connection is not, it's not straight because this is off to the side now. It's meant to hang this way. And all I could see is 2 eyes and a nose, you know, and I was playing around. It's like, there's the ears, you know, here's his body. And the next thing I know, I had a puppy dog. And I just, I don't know if you can see it or not. Okay, maybe it's me. I couldn't make it work other than, you know, it was becoming a puppy. And the more I looked at it, the more I just said, it looks like a dog. It looks like a dog. So I just said, okay, I don't like it. You know, and I played different ways with this thing, you know, before I set up here. And all I could see was this 2 eyes and a nose. So I had 2 of them. And what I did is I took my wire snips and I broke it apart. So I'm going to do that with this one. I just got in between where there's a little tiny, there's a little tiny flat piece right here. Can you see that? And there's one here, and then there's one there. So they're connected. And I just thought, well, let's see what happens. If it doesn't break, I will pop the pearls out and use them for embellishment on something else. If it does break, great. Then I have 3 pieces that I can use. So I just took my pliers or my cutters and I got in between, trying to be careful not to catch the rest of the jewelry. And I just said, okay, just go for it. Oop. And I did. I don't know where the other one went. It's here in the pile somewhere. Yeah, should have held on to it better. Anyway, I broke it off. So you can see that it will make a good dangle, but there's some rough edges there. I'm just going to bring that up a little closer. You may want to zoom in so you can see it better. There's just some rough edges here. So with this one, I just took an emery board and I sat here and I filed them down. So I'm going to do this one. I did 2 out of the 3. Now those other 2 are here somewhere on the table, but I will find them after when the camera goes off. So I have 2 more to do here. Now when I cut this one, there's a little bit of a gouge inside there. But if you're using this as a bottom dangle piece, it's not really going to be noticeable. The only thing that's going to be noticeable is if there's these big chunks sitting there, which, you know, I went back now with my pliers or with my wire cutters and cut them a little bit better. And then I just used an emery board. I could go into my husband's tool area and grab a real metal file and file them. But it worked just fine with the emery board. So I'm just going to quickly show you that. I'm just going to move this over. And so these 2 are done, but there's a little bit of a gouge in here, but I'm not really worried about that. But this one has those rough pieces still stuck to it. So I just went as close as I could and trimmed them back a little bit. I don't even think that this is real. It's like a pot metal. It's like a mix of metal. It is metal, but it's not, I think it's metal. I don't have a magnet handy, but I just went and trimmed off as much as I could of this as possible. It might be plastic. I'm not even sure. And then I just ran my emery board back and forth on here. To smooth it out. Now what it does do is it takes off the antique gold finish that's on here, which again, it's either some type of a plastic underneath or it's just a metal coating that's been put over top. But I was quite surprised at how easy this sanded. And if, you know, if it was really hard metal, then I would go, yeah, see, it's ripping into my emery board a little bit here. But I would go into my husband's toolbox and just get a metal file and file it that way. So even with a metal file, I could take it and just run it back and forth on here. I buy emery boards. They come in a pack of like, I don't know, 50. And I use them for different, when I want to sand the edges of paper or, you know, distress something. That's what I use them for. But in no time at all, you get rid of that. And I'm not trying to hide it. I mean, it's, you know, it would be impossible to completely hide it because I did break it. But at least it's not sharp. So now I can use this as a finishing dangle. There's still a little bit there. I'll get my husband's file and file it off a little bit more. But it's not sharp. So if you're not concerned about a little bit of it showing, like if somebody is scrutinizing that closely the stuff you make, it's not like we're making jewelry. We're using this for decoration on our journals. So if somebody's scrutinizing that closely, yeah, then that's a different story, but for the most part, most people wouldn't even notice. So I'm just going to use these now as little dangles at the end of something to just further give it more movement, and a great way to use these up. And they're pretty. They are pretty. There's nothing wrong with how they look. And it just gives me a lot more mileage, especially if I can find the other 2 that are somewhere on the table. But I have a lot going on here. I'll just flip you over just so you can see. There's a lot here. So this one now was a connecting point. So it's got a top and a bottom. So I can dangle something from it. I can add a ball pin to the top. It's good to work with. So I have those. I have these brown wooden beads. I have some antique gold looking beads. They're plastic. They're acrylic. And there's a few little silver ones here. I may add in a couple of black beads. I still have those black cone beads here on the table. And these brown ones. So I think what I'm going to do is play around with those, you know, add a few of these to the, once I clean them up. Just gonna, I will add a few of these things into creating something, where maybe they're used as a bottom piece. You know, I don't know yet, but I will continue to play around until I come up with something to use them for. These brown beads, I think I'm going to use with this Asian one. And then this earring, now it's got the post, which of course I'm going to keep. And then the post itself, I'm going to break off. Now I should be able to use that. Just use my needle nose to, yeah, there we go, it's off. Now this I throw in the garbage because we'll never see it again anyway. So it is reasonably flat. I probably could get that little lumpy part out. Yeah. So now it's much flatter. I don't know if you can see that. I've just taken that little piece off. It was what was holding the earring post on. So it sits a little bit flatter. And what I was thinking of doing is just putting a little bit of glue around the edge here and then letting it sit flat on here. And then leaving these three things to dangle. So that's kind of a fun piece just like that. So I think that's what I'm going to work on, is leaving that one like that. And then this one, I think because it's got this brassy tones to it, I could either add one of those or add one of these at the bottom with some of these beads. That one looks kind of fun like that. You know, maybe a couple added in with it or something. And then the rest of this will just get put together with eye pins and, you know, not much else going on to it. I was thinking about the chain here. I will probably use the chain up here more as a hanger at the top. And then just add, you know, a ball pin up there to make a connection. And then because it's got the two things for dangling, I will probably use some of these beads. Sort of, they're like round wooden beads. But I will mix it with the brass and whatever else I have here to make it work. So that's pretty much how I would play with these. So it's pretty easy. The rest of this, and when I find the other two, I hope it's not in my coffee. When I find the other two, I will turn all of these into those kinds of dangles, and yeah, then I will call it done. So I'm going to stop the camera just for a second. I'm going to put all those other pieces on my display stand and show you what that looks like. Just a second. Okay, here I am, and here is my display so far. Isn't this getting lovely? This is just amazing. Now, I'm trying to fit this all in for you to see it all. It's not easy to do this. When it's completely filled, I will take a picture with the whole stand full, and I will also take a picture with everything lying down on a display on something really fancy, of course, and so that you can see all the pieces together, because we still have a long ways to go with this. But yeah, it's pretty impressive that, again, all of this came out of one bag of junk jewelry. So yeah, we'll keep adding on to this, and eventually you'll see the whole thing. So the rest of this I will do off of camera and work on it, and then come back and show you the finished pieces in my next follow-up, which will probably be next Tuesday. I just want to do a quick recap on what's been going on in my world. I have been doing some organizing and sorting and cleaning. I know you guys knew I had done some paper packs last week. I thought I would do some lace ones and some junk jewelry collections. But it's too time consuming to do all of that at this time. But what happened was I had a little incident and a little hissy fit when I I dropped a box of ephemera papers all over the place because it wasn't in a very good spot. And so in cleaning it up, it just made me realize that I need to reorganize. And so that's why the paper sale, the ephemera sale came about. And but that in itself was a lot of work to make up all those boxes for people. So I hope you guys enjoy them. For those of you that get them, I think you should be getting them already the next day or so, because they're all gone. They're all mailed out. But that consumed my time. Tom and I were away for a couple of days foraging. We did mostly rock picking, and because Tom is doing a fun rock garden, which I'll hopefully get to show you, soon. And so we picked some rocks and shells, and just doing, the summer thing. And in realizing how I've become so disorganized in the last year, that I really need to take some time and clean out my studio. And so you're going to probably not see much of me through the summer months, only because I've got company coming in August, and possibly company coming in September. Hey, Hazel. Oh, isn't that going to be fun and crazy? And plus, I'm hoping that Jennifer and Deborah might show up one day, or at least for a couple of days, maybe a sleepover or something. And so I want to get my studio cleaned out. I have so much orders and things that are getting a little backlogged. So I really need to take some time and do all of that. So it's going to be hit and miss. I'm going to just fly in and do a little video or a little tutorial or a follow up, or show you something that is for sale or whatever. I have a couple of Thrifty Canucks videos that I just have to sit down and do, and then I can put all that stuff away too. So it's on the back burner. But yeah, life is short, and I have to take advantage of this time for other things. We're going out exploring. We're going to be doing some camping soon. I will show you stuff in between, but please don't be upset with me if I'm not around here and there. I'm sorry for follow-up day and arm's length art. I have journals started, and I'm hoping to get back into those bag bottom journals. That is what we're calling them. Thanks, Anna, for that name, for helping me with that name. And so yeah, bag bottom journals. I started them, and it was because of a piece of ephemera that all of this, or a box of ephemera, that all of this got put on hold. So, I'm actually to the point where I've got a bigger space here on my desk. And so it's really gotten cleaned up a little bit that way. I can't show you much further because that still looks bad. But yeah, it's coming. I have been doing a few things off camera, which I will show you on a follow-up day. I did used up some paper strips. I did some snippet rolls and sorted a bunch of little fabric pieces, and just odds and ends stuff, and it still doesn't really help at this point. So I really have to seriously get into it. In September, we are actually going to have that construction that was postponed, and that means the electrical panel behind me is going to be worked on. So yeah, I have to be ready to move all of the stuff that's behind me for the electrician to get in there, because it's quite intense what they're doing. So yeah, it's going to be hit and miss, but I will fill you in when I can. I will come online when I can, but I really need this time right now to regroup and to reorganize and to enjoy life a little bit. So here and there, I will have a video, but I will talk to you all soon. I wish you all a very creative day and a creative week, and we'll talk soon. Bye for now.